Hello, hello, hello. It is Tuesday, all about tasty yeses today. If you are joining me here on the live or the replay, let me know in the comments. I'm just going to do a quick tech check here. Make sure that I am up and running. I think I am, but you never know. So let me just take a look here and just do a refresh. And if you're popping in, say hi. All right. Well, I'm really excited to talk about today's topic because today is all about how do you overcome perfectionist paralysis when you're a high achiever, when you're compassionately ambitious, right? Every level of success in your life and your business, you're going to face a little bit of perfectionism. And so today I'm going to share with you my personal 3 hacks that as well as how I've been coaching my students and clients inside of the Customer Yes Lab, what we do to really break through when it comes to perfectionist paralysis. Now, this is for you if you are an action taker, but you have been noticing that lately you've been procrastinating, or you've lost motivation, or you get your to-do list literally all listed and all done, but for whatever reason, things don't actually get done because you feel overwhelmed by where to start. Okay. This is for you if you are looking to grow your business and you want to build out a team, but you are a bottleneck. Bottleneck being your team is waiting for you on what to do next, but you're still stuck in thinking and planning, right? And so this is for you if you are that action taker, but you're just stuck in perfectionism. I've been there. My clients have been there. Okay, let's talk about who this is not for. Okay, if you're still stuck in fear because you want to take action, but you really kind of don't want to take action, like you're still wanting to kind of stay hidden, this isn't for you. This is really the hacks where people want to take action, but for whatever reason, they just don't know why they're stuck in perfectionism, right? And so stay tuned. I'm going to walk you through some of the 3 key symptoms to look for, how it's hurting you and your business, and really my expert coaching tips to really how to break through that. How do you get to that next level, right? So if you are watching me here live, let me know that you're here live or that you're catching this on the replay. Now, if you and I have not had a chance to meet yet, I'm Elizabeth Yang. I am a Customer Yes business strategist, and I am all about helping you flip customer yeses into happy sales much more quickly online through organic relationship marketing. What does that really mean? That means stepping into the marketplace, commanding higher prices by building the human connection, by leading with the human connection. And so if that sounds like that's for you, then you are here in the right spot. Now, at any time, if you want my notes, my summary, just type handouts in the comments and my team will get this out to you. All right. So type handouts for my notes. All right. So as we are tuning in here, I'm just going to make sure that I have this up. So one of the things that I often run into when I'm working with compassionately ambitious entrepreneurs is at every level how perfectionism and fear comes up, especially in the online space. Because see, what got you to your first $10,000 or your first $100,000 in your business, at every level, right? At every level, perfectionism will pop up. Because what happens when you've had that level of success already, where you are, hitting $10,000 in sales or $100,000 in sales, is that there's a quality or a standard that you are confident is what works for you, right? It's what has gotten you to where you are now. And when you're building your team and you're looking to grow and build your business, that perfectionism paralysis will come up. It's not if it will come up, it is a matter of when it comes up, right? So let's dive right in. And I see Ayana's here on my team and she's already leading by example, right? You want notes of my handout, just go ahead and type handouts in the comments, and my team will get this out to you. But I'm going to walk you through how this shows up in your business and how it's hurting you. Okay. How many of you are often plagued by procrastination or all of a sudden a lack of motivation, right? I see Gold is here. She says, hello. Hello there, Gold. So let's dive right in. Let's dive right into this because I want to share with you some of the things to look for, right? So one of the key symptoms of how perfectionist paralysis is showing up in your business is that your sales are inconsistent or non-existent because you're still planning. And this is what planning looks like, okay? Planning is collecting information, reading, going to seminars, listening to audiobooks and podcasts. You're like, I just need to know more information. And what's really happening here, folks, is that you're waiting for the information to spark something inside of you, to click or somehow create an aha moment, a spark of inspiration or motivation to gear you up and get you started, right? And so what this often looks like in your business is that you'll start something and then you'll delay and procrastinate because you're still, quote, planning, right? But what's really happening here is that fear is what's lurking underneath. Whether it's fear of failure or fear of success, this is exactly the mindset that I help each of my students inside of the Customer Yes Lab work through. Again, it's not a matter of if it will come up. It is a matter of when it comes up, what do you do about it? And oftentimes this planning, it's stopping you from hitting your sales because you are more concerned with other people's opinion. If you have been, quote, successful up to this point, whether in your career, your first $10,000 in your business, your first investment, your first launch, right? There's a standard, right, that you believe that you need to live up to, that other people's expectations of you are this, right? And so, like, I had a client, right? She started her own business and she absolutely loves what she's doing. But how this showed up for her in her business was that other people's opinion of her mattered more. And more specifically, it was within her immediate family where every single time she was with this particular family member, this family member would trigger something inside of her, right? And this family member would ask her things like, how's your business coming along? And she would say things like, oh, I'm still working on it. I'm planning my next launch. I'm doing this and this and this, right? And then this family member would laugh and say, okay, so how much money are you making in your business? And this would just like paralyze her. This would just completely derail her and trigger her, right? And so, why is this so important? Why is this still so important when you are in perfectionist paralysis? It's because other people's opinion matters more to you. And because when you know that inside your business, you have the potential to earn as much as you want, but you're just not there yet, other people's opinion all of a sudden triggers something insecure about us inside of us, right? So I see some hello here. Gold says she is guilty. OMG, that is me. Hi, Rachel. Rachel is here showing up as well, right? So I love this. I love the community. I love Rachel saying hi to Gold and Elizabeth. Hello, 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 right? And so what happens? What happens? Well, let's look at some things that we can do to hack this, okay? The first tip I want you to remember in your business is you got to separate the task from your identity. What you do does not make you who you are. Who you are is not what you do. What do I mean by that? For this client, right? She did not yet realize the amount of sales that she wanted to make and earn in her business. And she was attaching her identity to that task. And anytime a family member triggered something inside of her, because she did not have whatever magical sales number, let's say $10,000 in sales a month for her, she felt unworthy, right? And so when I was coaching her, one of the things that this happens, and this is why it's so important that you hack perfectionist paralysis, is because this one interaction, just one interaction, I don't know how long she was at this family gathering, if it was an hour or 30-minute conversation. It was probably maybe less than a 30-minute conversation. It triggered her whole entire week and derailed her. She did not feel motivated. The task that she was going to work on, she procrastinated on. She held back in her business. And my friends, when do results happen in your business? They happen when you are doing, right? And so one of the things I coached her on was she said, Elizabeth, how do I just overcome this? How do I, like this family member is asking me how much money I'm making. And I'm not like making, thousands and thousands of dollars yet, but I'm really happy with where I'm at in my business. I'm happy with where sales are at in my business, right? And I said, okay, so what can you do? You can tell this person how well business is going for you, how happy it is that you're working on your business and the transformation and the change and the difference you're making in your customers' lives. And she said, well, Elizabeth, what if they ask me how much money I'm making? I said to her, you turn around, you look this person in the eyes, and you say, I am making $1 million in sales. And then you smile and you walk away. Because here's the truth, right? What you do is not who you are. Just because you're not there yet in $10,000 in sales or $100,000 in sales or even $1 million in sales yet, it does not make you who you are. If you're showing up in your business and you're like, hey, my sales just aren't there yet, but I know I'm worth it. I know I'm working towards, 6-figure sales in my business or 7-figure sales in my business. Who you are at that moment, you are earning that dollar, right? And so, like I said to her, you tell this person you're already making it the $1 million and you walk away. You don't owe this person anything, right? Whether or not this person believes you or not, it doesn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, if you feel like you're worth $1 million, you are showing up to your customers. You are serving your customers like their hard-earned dollars is worth every moment with you. You, my friend, are worth it. And so when you are able to separate your task from your identity, right, and other people's opinions of you, there's almost like no emotions attached, right? Because what happens is you get to assign the emotions to the task that you're doing. It has nothing to do with your identity. So you've got to separate your task from your identity, okay? The other tip here is that you've got to tell yourself progress over perfection. Progress over perfection. You take imperfect action, whether it's tiny for you or massive for you, it all counts. I often say that you got to make your dream top of mind every day. Whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, you've got to be working on it every day. Sales, you're working on those activities, those tasks that I call it inside my customer yes lab are show me the money task, right? Not the administrative tasks that are furthest away from the sales, but truly the tasks that you know are going to generate the sale for you, right? If you're showing up every day working on those show me the money tasks, right? The sales will come. But like in this example with my student, right? One conversation, because she's stuck in perfectionism, derails her whole entire week with just a 30-minute conversation. She's now reset and even further away from taking action towards making her sales. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So, yeah, I love a gold saying here. Yes, I am worth it. Progress over perfection. So separate your identity from your task. Your sales may not be there yet, but you've got to feel like you're worth that price point, right? Like one of the things I was teaching my students is really how do we command higher prices? And you've got to be able to command higher prices because you believe that you're truly worth it. Okay. And you know with confidence that you are truly worth it. I had a student, I was having a one-on-one with her just this week or last week, and she said to me, Elizabeth, I finally get it now. I knew that I was always worth it. I knew that I could command higher prices, but it was really just the last several months of us working together that it finally made sense. And she said, it's like one of those things now that I know that I am worth it and I know how and why I'm worth it. It's like I don't have to be apologetic. And I want you to just think about that for just a moment here, folks. You might be saying to yourself, I'm worth it, right? I'm worth it. I'm worth what I'm charging. But if there's any ounce of you that feels a little apologetic about it, that feels like you kind of want to shrink and like stay hidden because that statement out loud publicly just seems like too much or seems like you're going to rub people the wrong way, you're not quite there yet. You see, when you are able to own your worth and declare it, there's no fiber in your being that is apologetic at all whatsoever for this statement. And as I was working with this student, she said, I finally get it now. I knew I was always worth it, but I didn't quite feel it. I didn't know how or why. But she said, working with you in the last several months, it finally clicked. And the sense of not being apologetic because you are worth it, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like, right? So this is really key, folks. If you are experiencing inconsistent sales because you're still planning or gathering information, it looks like procrastination where you start things but you don't finish or you stop and go. And there's fear that really lurks there and you're still concerned about other people's opinion. You've got to separate the task from your identity. Okay? The task is simply the doing, right? But when you're not doing, you, my friend, are not going to get the results that you want. Okay. And you got to separate the two. What you do is not who you are, and who you are is not what you do, right? If you want to be the $10,000 a month earner, you've got to feel that first. Okay. And then the tasks are just going to be extra, right? Are just going to be an extension of that, right? And you got to tell yourself progress over perfection. Take imperfect action, tiny or massive, it all adds up. Whether it's 5 minutes working on your dream or 5 hours working on your dream, it all adds up. All right. So let's look at the second symptom. And at any point you want my notes, just type handouts in the comments and my team will get this out to you. All right. And as we're working through this and you're feeling really stuck with where you're at in your business right now, book a clarity call with me. Type strategy into the comments and my team will get my calendar link out to you. And let's really get you from unstuck, like from stuck to unstuck, right? With the clarity call. If you find that perfectionist paralysis is like consuming you and it's keeping you stuck, it's keeping you playing small, book a call with me, a clarity call. I only got 3 spots that I do for free every week, every time I do this. So if you want a spot on my calendar, book a clarity call. There's no catch because I'm all about showing up to serve my community. And so if you want that strategy call, take it before it's gone because I only got 3 limited free spots. Okay. All right. So type strategy here. If you want to book a call with me, it's a clarity call. My team will get that out to you. All right. All right. So key symptom number 2. right? My high performers, compassionately ambitious builders, barely anything is getting done because you're still thinking, right? So the first one, sales are inconsistent because you're still planning. It shows like procrastination. It's like stop and go, right? And the second key symptom, you're still in your head. And so nothing is really getting done. Because what happens if you find yourself, this is how you know that you're here, okay? You have an all or nothing thinking. What do I mean by that? In your mind, it's either or. Oh, I'm always late. It's never going to work. You're making these broad statements, always or never. Either I do A or I got to do B. Like there's nothing in between, right? You know what? I have to be able to, make sure all my ducks are in a row and my business plan is all done, or else I'm not launching, right? Or I got to get, that really nice car first before I can go and become a real estate agent and show my clients around, because having a really nice car is really important to sales as a realtor, right? It becomes this mindset of all or nothing. Like I have to have this first in order to do that, right? Or I can only do A or B. There's like no middle ground, right? And this is you in your head standing in your own way. All or nothing thinking is what limits you. It's what keeps you playing small. It's what keeps your earning capacity at a ceiling. Because in your mind, you are limiting yourself by saying it's either A or B, or if I don't have A, I can't do B. No one is telling you this. Who is telling you this? No one. You are limiting yourself. You are limiting your earning potential. You are putting a ceiling cap on how much money you can make, right? And this often looks like you have your duck in a row where you have a long to-do list and you're looking at it and you're like, I know what I need to do, okay? But you begin to feel overwhelmed by where to actually start, right? Because you've got this long to-do list, but you're like, holy crap, where do I start? So are you ready to look at a hack for how to undo this? How to overcome that perfectionist paralysis? Let's go for it. I want you to challenge yourself with two things, okay? Because my friend, when do results happen again? Results happen when you're doing. And when you're thinking and when you're planning, results aren't happening for you, okay? So I want you to first give yourself permission that you can change your mind later, but only after taking certain actions, okay? This is not an end-all be-all. In business, we can plan as much as we want. We can put our ducks in a row into that like 100-page business plan, right? I often share my own story with you about how I spent 18 months, y'all, planning my exit strategy from corporate, right? Building my business on the side until I had enough confidence and my ducks in a row, right? Before I quit my job. 18 months. And 3 months after I left my job with a plan, money set aside, I quickly realized my side hustle plan wasn't going to work full time. 3 months in, that plan I had planned, which I thought, oh, if my side business is going well, I just need to do more of what I was doing before. It will work. Did not work. Did not work. So I don't believe in a business plan. I think you got to have a plan, right? You got to be focused, but your plan gives you aim and it gives you guardrails, but it never goes according to plan. So that if you ever came to my boot camp, you'll get to hear that story, right? So give yourself permission to change your mind later, but only after taking action. Okay. If in your head, you're like, oh, I decided, okay, no, it doesn't count if it's in your head. It only counts if there's an action and there's actually results. Whether it was a bad result or a good result, there's something that happened after taking action. Then you can change your mind. Then you can decide to go the other way. All right. So here's where I want to challenge you. Okay. If you're still thinking, I want you to turn on a timer, 50 minutes. Okay. A 50-minute timer. And do whatever it is that you need to do. By the time this timer rings, I want you to decide. Yeah. Right. Like decide. I don't care. You want to go left? Go left. You want to go right? Go right. Decide. Another trick, if you can't decide, take a coin, right? Heads or tail, flip it and decide. Yeah, I'm serious. Why? Because it doesn't go according to plan anyways. And you might be sitting there, you're like, Elizabeth, you don't understand. If I'm thinking about quitting my job, I can't just flip a coin. If I'm thinking about, launching this new offer or investing in this new business, I can't just flip a coin. Really? Because how many times in your life have you thought you had the right answers and you took action and you were completely wrong? But it was only after you took action that you realized it was the wrong decision, the wrong choice, right? And then you were able to self-correct. That's what business is all about, right? When you're planning, you're not getting things done. When you're thinking about it, you're causing yourself way more anxiety and stress. But the moment that you decide and you give yourself permission to change your mind after you've taken action and there's some sort of result, whether good or bad, right? And then you can change your mind, you give yourself permission to move forward. And again, progress over perfection wins, okay? So set that timer, identify the next thing that you need, right? And get it done. And then as a bonus, if it's a big decision, put a timestamp on it. In 24 hours, in 48 hours, I need X in order to make a decision. Go get X, all right? I need to talk to my partner. Okay, 24 hours, 48 hours, talk to your partner, make a decision, right? In 48 hours, I need to research this topic and learn more about it. Fine, spend 48 hours researching it, but make a decision. Results happen in the doing. And you never know what you don't know until you start doing it, right? I mean, think about it. It's like the anxiety that kids have when they're about to take a test, right? They start to worry about what their score is going to be or how they're going to fail their test and how horrible it's going to be. And when they fail it, the teacher or the students are going to laugh at them. And as a parent, you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, like, how ridiculously dramatic this is, right? But you know this in your head. You know it's not true. But to that child, it is their reality. It is their belief. And all you can do is encourage them to go and take the test and realize it's not as bad as they thought in their head. And that's the same advice you need to be giving yourself. Cool? All right. Let's look at number 3. Ready for number 3? So what is the third key symptom? You are the problem to delegating to others. You are the bottleneck. You are the stopper that everyone's waiting on to either get your advice, to either get your opinion, to either know what they need to do next. Because if you have perfectionist paralysis, I'm guilty of this too, folks. I've been here. You have unrealistic standards. I like to tell my team, I just have high expectations, which I do. I do, right? But as a leader in your business, as a leader in your household, as a leader to your customers, you will not be able to grow and scale your business to that next level if you are the bottleneck to delegating. Okay? If you're trying to grow your business, but the household chores don't get done because they're all waiting on you, you never get to focus on your business. Right? If you can't seem to get your kids into a routine so that they have a good mix of, being able to take care of themselves and you being able to spend time with them, you are never going to find time doing your business. If you are depending on childcare that's, inconsistent or unreliable, you will never find the time to focus on your business, right? Because at the end of the day, you end up being your own bottleneck because you put the systems around you, processes, people, you surround yourself with systems and people that are unreliable. And then it falls back on you. And then you get mad at them for being unreliable. But in the truth, they're just showing you their true colors. But you're the one that continues to keep going after it. You're the one that continues to keep forcing them to try to be different than who they really are when they've just shown you their true colors, right? So you are the bottleneck to your delegating. And those unrealistic standards can be like high expectations, but it can also be as simple as expecting other people to change and think like you do, act like you do, behave like you do, when they have shown you over and over and over and over and over and over again, that's not who they are. But your unrealistic standard is that you keep hoping and praying they're going to one day be like how you expect them to be. And my friend, that's going to be on you. You are your bottleneck to delegating because you are the bottleneck to your next level of growth. Your perfectionist paralysis of how you believe your standards should be because no one else gets it, right? Or your standards of, wow, I'm a person of integrity. Why can't they be like that? I'm a person that shows up on time because I respect the people's time. How come so-and-so can't be respectful of my time, right? These are standards that will keep you paralyzed because what happens is, like Albert Einstein said, right? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This is the same thing when it comes to unrealistic standards and expectations of ourselves and of other people, folks, right? And so what's a remedy for that? What's a remedy for that? I see that. If you are watching this and you're feeling me on this, drop me some fire in the comments and let me know that you're feeling this on me, right? Because this is the biggest thing, because what you do in one area in your personal life, it will show up in your business. It will show up in your business. It will spill over in your business, right? So what's a hot tip on how you can overcome this, right? I love it. Sending me some fire. Oh, that just energizes me. I love it. Love it. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. The last tip I have for you. This is one of my favorite hacks, is get clear on what's next, right? What do I mean by that? I want you to think about delegating the results and not the task. What do I mean by that? I'm going to use a really simple analogy here, right? For example, if you need daycare, right? And you know that there's a standard of care that you prefer to surround your kids with, then make sure that you're just not delegating any daycare, but that you're really clear on the results that you want. Whether it's, you want your daycare provider to spend 30 minutes with them, monitor their, time off of devices, screen time, whatever that is for you, right? And what you're going to have to realize is that if you want that level of care for your children, you're going to maybe invest in hiring an actual babysitter, right? And if you can't afford it, then you're going to have to compromise your standards, right? And so I want you to start thinking about, how can I delegate the results and not the task, not the doing that task, right? And what happens is when you get really clear on what your results are, especially if you're working with a team on your business, right? Then you know what your standards are. And this goes into the second tip here. I want you to challenge yourself as you're growing your business, whether it's your first 10K or your first 100,000, right? Or your next 100,000, is that I want you to start saying to yourself, my goal is to make enough money in my business so I can start hiring. So what does that training document start to look like, right? Ask yourself, what are my quality standards that my team must be able to answer yes or no to before moving forward? And this also applies in the household too, right? Like, how do you know when your kids are ready to have their own phones? How do you know when they're ready to microwave their own food or be home alone? They have to show you certain standards where you can say, yes, they can move forward with that. No, that ain't happening in my house, right? So, for example, my son Evan, he's now 12, he has shown me that he can be responsible because when we got him a cell phone, right? And I would be out and about, I would text him to test him to see if he would respond. He would, and he consistently did that. So my quality expectations of him was, does he answer his phone when I call? Right? I know it's a really simple one, but sometimes 12-year-olds, that just doesn't happen, right? Or when there's something that happens in that house, right, with his sister or whoever that is there, does he know when to call me? And that might require conversation, right? Like, okay, mom and dad aren't home right now, so, don't use the microwave, don't turn on the stove, right? Like, you have this long quality standard list of things to do with your kids if they're home alone and things they can do with adult supervision. Well, inside your business, I want you to think like that too. So, your social media, what are your quality standards for there? What would be a yes for your team to post? What would be a no for them not to post? Right? When it comes to qualifying customers for your business, who's a yes, I will talk to that person because they seem like my ideal customer, and who's a nope, ain't working with that customer? What are those standards? Are you clear with what they are? Because if you're not clear with what they are, then you're not able to articulate it. And when you're not able to articulate it, you cannot articulate the results. Therefore, you cannot delegate it because in your mind, you're thinking, no one else gets this. Only I get this. That's why your team, that's why the people you're surrounding yourself with are waiting to hear from you on what's next. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I see gold here. She's got a woo woo in the house, right? So these are just 3 of my favorite hacks of how to overcome perfectionist paralysis and how that shows up in your business, how that shows up in your life. Because, friends, what you do in one area of your life will show up in your business, right? So if you want this handout, type handouts into the comments. My team will get this out to you. And if you want some clarity around, gosh, how do I just break free from this perfectionist paralysis that's keeping me stuck, type comment strategy into the comments and my team will be sure to get you my booking link, right? So these are very practical tips, but I'm going to challenge you, right, to really apply them as quickly as possible. Because again, I don't want you stuck in paralysis because when you're not doing, my friends, results aren't happening. And success in sales rewards speed, right? The faster that you implement, even if you're wrong or right, the faster you'll know if you're a step closer to that sale, right? But when you're stuck thinking, when you're stuck planning, when you're stuck on, oh my gosh, I got to do everything myself because I cannot delegate or have reliable team or people around me that I can delegate or rely on, right? Then results aren't going to show up for you. This is true at every level. Those that are compassionately ambitious high achievers, right? Like you're going to notice that when you get to your first level of success, what got you there isn't going to take you to that next level because what you have to shed, what you have to let go of at every level is this layer of now these new expectations and standards, right? And there's like another layer of pressure of perfectionism that you've got to now like rise up into. And so as we wrap up today's call, I want to just remind you, and this is what one of my, 7-figure mentors once said to me. She said, Elizabeth, at every level of my business growth, I was always a newbie. I was always learning. I always had new fears that came up. I always had to deal with perfectionism. Because at every level of growth, if you're not new at it, it's not growth. Right? If at every level of growth, you're the smartest person in the room, it's not growth. At every level of growth, if you know exactly what you're doing and you're 100% confident and you're 100% certain, it's not growth. That's your comfort zone. That's what you've always been doing. That's what you know how to do, right? I mean, I just want you to think about that. It's such practical advice, such practical advice, but it makes a huge difference. And so you've got to shift that. You've got to shift your way of thinking that, oh, I can't have perfectionism that comes up. If I'm procrastinating, it's because I'm not organized enough. No, if you're procrastinating, it's because fear is lurking. It's because you're too concerned with other people's opinion, right? And so you've got to shift that mindset at every level. If it's true growth that you're after, you will be the newbie. You will be uncertain. You will feel like you're not comfortable at all whatsoever because you're stretched. You will feel overwhelmed because if you were underwhelmed, you're not in the right room, right? So type handouts for my comments on today's episode, type strategy if you'd love to book a clarity call with me. I only got 3 spots open and I usually make them free for my community here right inside of my Facebook community group. And with that, I will catch you next week, same place, same time. And I think next week's topic is going to be what? I can't even remember. I should have pulled that up, but it's going to be on 3 of my favorite productivity tools. I believe that's what it is. So more to come on that. So I will catch you next week, same place, same time. And if you are finding value in this community, please invite some of your colleagues, peers, and friends to join us because I'm all about how do we begin to build a community that's all about compassionately ambitious builders, building that business, scaling that business, and turning our passion, folks, into purpose for profits. Because that's how we're all going to make a difference, is to create one tide that raises all ships. So with that, I'm out and I will see you next week.